Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and I'm here to review Netflix's newest film, Mudbound, that came out back in November, and this is getting a lot of Oscar buzz, which is very different for something that was released on Netflix. I know this has gotten a couple of Golden Globe nominations, for what that's worth, but this film is about two families, one white, one black, and dealing with living in post World War II South. And when there's still a lot of prejudice, there's no slavery, but there's still a lot of hatred and divisiveness between people. And this was directed by Dee Rees, and overall, I think he does a fine job telling the story. There's a lot of use of voiceover that honestly really took me out of this movie a lot of the time because it was just felt like I was just being told a story and not actually being shown something a lot of the time, and balancing these two families, these different stories, different subplots. There's a lot going on, but I think he does a decent job of balancing everything. I'm going to say now, I wasn't the hugest fan of this film. I didn't really get really engrossed in this film, and honestly, it felt like it dragged a lot for me personally, but this was still a very fine made film and very impactful film because there's the tone of this film, it's very serious, dealing with these different topics and different issues, and there are scenes that are very emotionally resonant, especially towards the end of this film. This really does hit hard, and the cinematography done by Rachel Morrison, it's very grimy and very muted colors throughout the film, and the way that it's shot with that color palette I think is really important because that's this dark grittiness that we get in this era and in the Deep South. And a lot of the times when we see things from the Deep South, it's very colorful, bright, and gorgeous. Like looking at something like Forrest Gump, how all the green and the big houses and everything just pop. This film takes a different look at it and makes it very gritty and dirty, which really helps create the atmosphere that this film is trying to tell. And I honestly think that it was a very good choice that they did to make this film look this way. And in terms of the writing, which was also done by Dee Rees but also Virgil Williams, the story is interesting and some of the characters are very interesting and it has compelling stories, and then there's parts that it's just like there's a lot going on and not everything really engaged me, and I didn't feel really connected with all the characters in the film, but there's a lot to say, and this film does have a lot to say about a lot of different issues in terms of racial relations, and I think this film's very admirable for those moments and for what it says in terms of those different kinds of things, and that's why I think this is an important film to see. Wasn't the hugest fan of the film. I don't think this should be up there getting like best picture buzz or anything like that, but it's still a really well made film. The acting is A plus. That's one of the big things that really elevates this film. Garrett Hedlund, honestly, this is one of the best performances I've ever seen from him, because honestly, I've seen a lot of stinkers from him. Carey Mulligan is a great actress, really brings it for this film as well. And Mary J. Blige, who's a non-actor, comes in and does a really fine job in this film, and she's getting a lot of Oscar buzz and already got nominated for a Golden Globe. And then Jason Mitchell, who I really liked in Straight Outta Compton, and I think he does a really good job in this film. And just to mention, Jason Clarke does a nice job, and Jonathan Banks, who plays the father, who is a very strong character in this film, very basically evil character and hateful character in this film, and he does a really fine job of bringing that to light. This film, my overall thoughts, well, we also have our music by Tamar Kali. I think the music really fits in the atmosphere and the place and time and where this film takes place. I think it really does a good job of filling out. It's like you feel like you're in this time period. It looks like you're in this time period, and I think that's very big positive for this film as a period piece. And then my overall thoughts, I think it's a powerful and well acted, if not heavy handed, form of storytelling. But honestly, I think Mudbound's worth checking out. It's on Netflix. I'm going to give Mudbound a B.